What is up? I almost said fellow marketeers, which you basically are. So Freedom Through Advertising for Expat Entrepreneurs Facebook group. What's happening? Me and Anthony wanted to jump on today and continue on from a hot topic that so many people were asking us about following the 7-day free trial of the program. That is essentially how to choose the right niche for you. So for those of you who are kind of just jumping into the group, we're going to be pumping out, some more free content for you guys to digest and to really help you on the way of starting and building your own successful digital advertising business. Anthony, what did we talk about on, I think it was Wednesday? We got things kicked off around niche selection by talking about choosing the right niche, right? And what are the kind of things that you need to look out for, profitable niches, etc. Is that right? Do you want to just remind us before we dive into today's topic?
Yeah, essentially what we focused on was selecting your niche has to do with a couple of different things, right? And those we gave 3 tricks basically to select a niche that is profitable for you and will help you to basically launch your business, right? Those 3 things were focusing on make sure it's service-based and not product-based, right? And we wanted to make sure that people knew what the difference was between service-based and product-based and kind of the things that are involved with it, which are focused on the profit margins, right? We want to focus on the lifetime customer value that the client has, right? So we talked about a couple of things like, you want their price point to be around $2,000 to $3,000, $5,000 and upwards, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's all in one sale, right? It could be in certain situations where people, some businesses have a sale for a client, but it's an ongoing sale, right? So, a personal trainer has someone come in at $50 a session or $100 a session, but obviously they want this customer for a very long period of time. So over the course of a year, those sessions add up. And of course, it's worth a lot of money to the trainer, right?
Let's not dive down this rabbit hole in this video. That's what we covered in the last one. So if you're just kind of wondering where we're following on for, there's another video that we made previously around essentially the 3 things that you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about what niche to work with. Now, in this video, we want to go one step further. We've identified that, a suitable niche, a profitable niche is going to be a service-based business that essentially sell for a higher price point or have a high lifetime customer value. Why? Because they have higher profit margins, which is why we stay away from product-based businesses. And ultimately, high profit margins mean more money to pay you $1,000, $2,000, up to $5,000 a month for your digital advertising service. Now, today we want to hit on and cover, we're going to go one step further. And now for you, how do you choose a profitable niche that you want to work with, that you can build a successful business around, helping them solve their problem of bringing in more customers, increasing their revenue in their business? And how will you do that? Through digital advertising. So there's 3 steps that we essentially want to cover in this video today as well. 3 kind of things to look at when you're deciding what niche that you particularly want to, that you might want to work with and build your business around. Now, the first thing that I recommend that people consider when they're choosing their niche, okay, we all understand it's a service-based business that we need to work with. But going beyond that now, what type of service-based business should you work with as your niche? Now, number 1, the first thing that I recommend people look at when they're choosing a niche is your past career experience. So many of you will have had a hopefully long and fairly successful career doing something before where you are now. Perhaps, give me some examples. Maybe you were a personal trainer previously before living wherever you are now, or maybe you are now. Maybe you've had maybe you've been a financial advisor or finance broker or something like that. Maybe even a consultant before. Or maybe you've owned a plumbing business. If that's you, and if you have some kind of career experience, if you don't, it's no worries. We're going to cover what you do in that case in the next 2 steps. But first of all, have a look at your past career history. What have you been doing for the last sort of few years or for your career? This is the first place to look. Why? Because if you have experience in one particular industry before, perhaps you've owned a business or you've worked in one trade, it's likely that you know many other people who own a business in that trade too. Second, if you have experience working in a particular industry or field before, it's likely that you know more about that industry than any other, right? You know the jargon, you know the lingo, you know how to communicate with that type of business owner. So the first kind of place to look when you're thinking about choosing a niche is your past career experience. Why? Because you're going to have essentially a circle of people that maybe already know, like, and trust you, who would essentially be interested in working with you straight off the bat. But number two, you're going to be able to communicate with these businesses much more effectively than if you work with a business that you have no idea what goes on in that industry or the jargon, etc. All right. So that's the first place that I always recommend people start looking. Anything to add on to that, Anthony?
No, I think you really covered it. The key is for people to know that you already have knowledge in a certain industry or niche that you just haven't really grasped it, how much knowledge you may actually know. And maybe it wasn't even your previous job. Maybe it was a job you had 3, 4, 5 years ago that you realized you could really provide value and you really understand that industry. And so it's just kind of looking at your past history and seeing where you can really shine and where you can really provide value, right? So let's go to number 2, right, James?
Yeah, that's so number 1. Now, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, I've got no experience before, perhaps you've been teaching English for like your whole adult life, do not fear at all, because we have another 2 steps to cover as well, 2 sort of places to look when you're considering choosing a niche. If you haven't, or if you just don't want to work with the type of businesses that you've been working with previously or throughout your career. So the second place to go or area to look at when deciding your niche would be your acquaintances. And I actually like calling this when your niche chooses you. Okay, so this whole niche selection thing is obviously important when starting your own business, but sometimes you just don't know where to go. And often it can work very nicely when you let your niche choose you. And how do you do that? You start having conversations with people in your inner circle. Perhaps your uncle is, I don't know, your uncle might be a kitchen installer, home renovator. You might have a friend who is a chiropractor. You might have a friend who is give me a random one. Accountant. Again, we always seem to come back to these similar ones. So I'm trying to give you some other ones. Like roofers, in the construction trade. Counselors. Perhaps you've got friends or family that have done something like that. Yoga instructors as well. Now, if you do, the first place to start would be to have a conversation with them and find out whether or not if a business doesn't want more customers, frankly, I'd say they were pretty insane, or maybe they're just doing so well that they don't want to expand further, but they're happy with the client base. Doesn't happen very often, but have that conversation with them. Would they be interested in having more customers into their business and making more money? Not many people would say no to that. So this is what I like to call when your niche chooses you. You have conversations with people in your inner circle, and you almost always find that you already know your first potential client. So you take that client on, you run some ads for them, you get them some results, and that is essentially your niche finding you. And that is, one of my favorite ways that I see people choose a niche is it actually chooses them, because they already know their first client. And many of you in this group will probably already know your first client, even if they don't know they're going to be your first client yet. All right, that's number 2. I think I covered that one as well. Anything to add?
No, I think the beauty of it is what you just finished up with, which is when they know somebody, it just kind of opens up the doors, right? Like all of a sudden, the niche chooses them. They realize, wow, I know this individual. I can actually find out more about this industry. I can do market research. I can get all the information I need, and I can ultimately change this person's business for the better, right? That's the best part about it.
Hang on. So that's number 2, step number 2, area number 2 to look at when you're considering what niche to work with. Number 3, interest. Now, let's say you have no career, you don't want to niche down and work with the types of businesses that you've had experience with working throughout your career, or perhaps your career just doesn't align with what we're talking about doing here. That's completely fine. Let's say you, and this is very rare when somebody doesn't know anybody in their inner circle that would potentially want more customers. It's quite, it happens sometimes when people don't know anybody either. So what do you do in that case? Or if you still are unsure about the niche that you want to work with based on what we've just said previously. Number 3 is interest. What actually interests you? What type of businesses do you have an interest in working with? Simple as that. Who would you want to work with? Who do you enjoy? What type of businesses do you enjoy working with? What kind of gets you going? What excites you?
Yeah, like what interests and passions do you have? Maybe you weren't a personal trainer, but maybe you love fitness. And so maybe now this is a time for you to work with personal trainers because you know that working with them means you're going to help other people with their fitness, right? You're going to help, but you're going to be able to impact the fitness world and people's health, overall health and well-being by helping fitness trainers get more clients, right? And so you want to look at different things you like. Maybe you like photography, and maybe you want to work with photographers, right? And so there's different things you can find based off your interests. And that's kind of the beauty of being able to look at who would you enjoy working with based off of what type of things do you even like, right?
Education is a big one. A lot of people are in the kind of education sector, particularly when you live abroad, you teach English, you've got your own students maybe, and you know other people who need more students as well, because perhaps you're in those shoes as well. Perhaps you just enjoy, providing opportunity to the children that you work with. Education is a massive sector. Private schools private schools, universities. There is a lot of money in that sector, first and foremost. When you're helping students find the path that they want to take, you're helping helping them potentially even learn another language by choosing the niche of even language schools. We've got quite a lot of students in the program who have actually used what we've taught them to grow their language business. And yes, it's a different kind of path, but obviously we teach you in the program how to bring in new customers to local businesses. Let's say you already own a local business. You want more customers for you. We do actually cover that in the program. Anyway, backing up a different tree. So step number 3, area number 3 to look when you're deciding what niche you should or you want to work with. What interests you? What gets you going? What drives your passion? Where do you want to provide value in the world? Because that's what we're doing here, providing value to other businesses. So there has to be some kind of intrinsic motivation is going to be often very important in success. You have to actually want to get up every day and do what you love doing.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Without that drive and that energy and that passion for it, it makes it hard to be able to work with a group of people for an extended period of time, right? Months or years or whatever it may be. Obviously, you want these people to be your clients for a long period of time, right? You want these monthly recurring retainers, right? So you want to be able to work with the niche that you actually enjoy working with, right? And so, yes, if you've had past career experience, that really helps because you know this industry, left and right. If you have acquaintances, right? People that you enjoy talking to, right? That's kind of like a nice step forward to be able to work with that industry, right? And then, of course, if you have interests, that just makes it easier for you to just get up every day, like James said, and just be able to have that energy, like, I can't wait to change these people's lives. That's the best part about choosing a niche like this, right?
Absolutely. So those are the three key areas that we're going to round up with today of where to look, the 3 steps to take to choose your niche. Now, remember, service-based, high ticket, so high lifetime customer value or high revenue generated per one sale is highly recommended for the reasons explained in the previous live that we've done. And then today, the 3 steps that you take. First of all, have a look at your past career experiences. How can you use the knowledge that you've accumulated in that industry, in that sector, to now start your own digital advertising business? Number 2, acquaintances. Look in your inner circle. Perhaps you've got an uncle, a friend, a parent who runs a local business. Let your niche choose you is one of my personal favorites that we see happening time and time again. Number 3, interest. So third and finally, if neither of the other 2 apply or don't sort of give you what lights the fire inside you every day and creates that intrinsic motivation to help other people, then have a look at choosing a niche that interests you, that you want to help provide value to and work with. Okay, so those are the three steps. We're going to round up this video today on the note that on Monday or Tuesday next week we've got another gift coming for you that we're going to be sharing in the group. So stay tuned. Join us on Monday. Keep an eye out for that. Anything to finish off with, Anthony, or we'll wrap up?
No, I think let's wrap up. I think we covered everything. We got people. By now, you should have the information you need to be able to go and select a niche. So just if you guys do select a niche based off of this video with the value that you got between this video and the one we had before, please post it in the group and let us know what you selected. We'd love to see what you guys are doing. We love seeing this kind of stuff. Just drop your comments below this video, and let's just hear what you got, all right?
Yeah. Let's see some likes and comments on the video. Share some love. Let us know what else you might want us to explore and talk about on the upcoming live. So, yeah. Other than that, wicked. Have a really good weekend. Happy Friday, everyone. I know it's Friday evening where most people are. Enjoy, and we'll see you early next week. Peace out.